guys, it's me Amelia, and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So just to give a little bit of information, this year I read 29 books, and I'm very surprised because I was looking at the list, and 3 of the books are young adult, and the rest, 26, were new adult, which is so weird because I mainly read YA, and I don't know when I transitioned into new adult. And it feels so weird. So let's just get started. The first question is, what is the best book you read so far this year? This would definitely have to be Kiss the Sky by Becca and Krista Ritchie. Thank you, Monique, for introducing me to this series and trying to get me to read it for years, and I just never did. Kiss the Sky is the first book to the Calloway Sisters series, which is a spin-off series of the Addicted series. Kiss the Sky kind of follows the dynamic of Rose Calloway and Connor Cobalt. They are a couple. So Rose is a fashion designer, and in order to boost kind of her clothing sales, she decides to have a reality TV show. So her and her boyfriend Connor and her sister's boyfriend move into this house where the reality show will be filmed. And there was just so much drama, and I'm honestly very surprised that this was the best book I read this year so far, because I did not want to read this book at all. I don't like reading romances where 2 people are already together and there's problems within their relationship, because I like reading romances where 2 people aren't together and it shows the process of them getting together. But with this couple, they're already together, so I didn't want to read it. But I forced myself to read it because I wanted to read the second book in the series, which is about Rose's sister Daisy. So I just read it to get to Daisy's book. But it ended up being so much better than Daisy's book, and it completely changed my perspective of reading romance, because now I don't only look towards reading something where 2 people are gonna get together, but because of this book, I actually start reading books where people are already together and there's problems within their relationship. Those are so fun, honestly. Like, I don't know why I always shied away from those kinds of books, so it's really opened my eyes to like a new section of the romance genre. The next question is, what is the best sequel you read? The best sequel I read by far is The Raven King by Nora Sakavic, which is the second book to the Foxhole Court. I've heard about the Foxhole Court for years. On Twitter, on Instagram, never on BookTube for some reason. But I always wanted to read it, and I finally read the series, and it was amazing. The first book, I gave it 3 stars, but then I read The Raven King, the sequel, which is so much better. The Foxhole Court is about this runaway named Neil Jostin, and he has an opportunity to play in an XC team, and XC is a made-up sport in this series. So he goes to university to play for the XC team of this university, but he's a runaway, so he has people after him, and I loved The Raven King. I love the relationship and the dynamic between him and his team members, and every single member in the team. They're such interesting characters. I feel like this series is very character driven. The first book honestly had very little plot, but the second book kind of made up for it. The characters are very unique, very psychotic. There's problems and secrets within the team which threaten their friendship, but they have to stick together because they're part of a team and they have to get to championships. So I love everything about this book. There's like a beautiful demonstration of friendship and hardships and getting through things together, and I love it. Next up is a new release that you want to get to, but you haven't gotten to it yet. And for me, this is Deck of Omens by Christine Lynn Herman. This is the second book to The Devouring Grey, which came out last year. I really enjoyed The Devouring Grey. The Devouring Grey is about this girl named Violet, and she moves into a town, but her family is a founding family of that town. And there's a beast in the woods, and people are dying one by one. And I really just love the relationship with her and the different founding family teens. And the town and the vibe of this book is absolutely beautiful. It's like Riverdale and Stranger Things, and it's just like really eerie, and I just love the atmosphere of the first book. So I'm really excited to get to the second book, A Deck of Omens, and see where the romance goes and where the plot goes. Next up is the most anticipated book that's coming out in the second half of the year. So at first I wrote How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories, but then I remembered that there was a book that I've been waiting years for, well, like a year, and that is Nightfall. And that is Nightfall by Penelope Douglas. Nightfall is the fourth book to the Devil's Night series. The Devil's Night series is my all-time favorite series. It's like number one. I know that like a lot of people think ACOTAR is like there, but the Devil's Night is like there. Each book in the Devil's Night series follows a different guy, and the fourth book follows Will, and I've been waiting for his book for like 5 years. So the series is about these guys who go to jail, and one girl is the reason they went to jail, so when they're out of jail they go after her, and that's the first book. And then each book is about a different guy that went to jail. And I really enjoyed Will's character in the previous books that was about other guys, so I'm so excited to get to Will's book, which I won't tell you what it's about because you should read like the first one first. The series is kind of a dark romance that's very suspenseful. There's lots of like suspense. Next up is The Biggest Disappointment, and this is for sure, The Hunter by L.J. Shen. I love L.J. Shen's books, but over time I noticed that they've been getting worse and worse and worse. But I really wanted to give The Hunter a shot because I really enjoyed his character in the All Saints High series, so I really wanted to read Hunter's book, and it disappointed me so much. I made a rant review for it if you want to check that out. The Hunter is about this guy. His sex tape was leaked with a bunch of like other girls. It was like an orgy. So he hires this girl Sailor to live with him and make sure he doesn't drink or have sex. And it's just kind of their romance. And it was really bad. I didn't like it at all. I feel like the plot twists were very expected, and it was kind of shock value things that didn't really contribute much. I feel like the plot was there only for like the miscommunication trope, and I feel like miscommunication is such a bad way to drive a story. I hate it, and L.J. Shen always uses miscommunication. That's like the only plot. Like if all the characters communicated, there would be no problems in this book. And I really hate those kinds of books, and it just makes me not want to read L.J. Shen anymore because everything about her books are just so repetitive, the plots, the everything. So I was really, really disappointed by this book. It was so much worse than all her other books, which were already getting worse. I'm done. Okay. Next up is Biggest Surprise, and I was actually very surprised by The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which is a prequel to The Hunger Games. I wasn't really anticipating it much, but I decided to read it, obviously, because I want to know Snow's story. And I actually really enjoyed it. I feel like it was so genius. I wrote out a whole review for this book that I never filmed, which was such a waste of time because I spent hours writing a review and now I just have no motivation to film it. I felt like the book was genius. All the metaphors, it was like, I don't know how to explain it, but the book would show something and then show another thing, and then you could really see the contrast between like poor and rich, and I'd be like, wow, genius. And then it would show how the capital cared more about a bird than they cared about the tributes, and I was just like, wow. Like everything, all like the little details, I appreciated the little details so much. And then the ending, I'm not even gonna spoil, but the ending, I was like, whoa, genius. So yeah, I was very surprised by this book. I thought it was genius. That's like the one word I would use to describe this book is genius. I really loved it. Next up is new favorite author. My new favorite author is for sure Krista and Becca Ritchie, who wrote the Addicted series and the Calloway Sisters series. My friend made me read the Addicted series. She's been trying to get me to read it for years, but I never did. So I decided to read it, and I kid you not, I read like 6 or 7 books in the series in like a month. The series consumed my soul. The author writes such interesting, complex characters with the best dynamics with each other, and I love the drama. I love the secrets. I just love the writing and everything. Next up is new favorite fictional crush, and this crush is Andrew Minyard from the Foxhole Court series. I really love Andrew. He's a very kind of psychotic, manic, unfeeling character, and I feel like he's so interesting. I love all his decisions and his facial expressions, which he doesn't actually express anything, but he feels, but he's also doesn't feel. Andrew would just do anything for his friends, but he's also super psychotic and unfeeling, and I'm like, baby, So yeah, I really love him. And please read The Foxhole Court because I love Andrew. Next is new favorite character. And my new favorite character is someone we only got like 2 scenes of. But that's okay because I still love him and he's still my new favorite character. And that is Aidas from House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. He's a demon prince. A demon prince. A demon prince. And from what we got of him, I already feel like I'm gonna love him in the second book because it's hinted that he will be very prevalent in the second book, and I just can't wait to see more of him. I love the way he speaks. I just love his personality and his shape-shifting abilities and the way he talks, and I'm really excited to see more of him. And he's really hot. Next up is the book that made you cry. Only one book made me cry this whole year, and that is Imagine Me by Tahera Mafi. I didn't cry because anything sad happened. I just started the book, and then I was like, this is the last book in the Shatter Me series. And I just started crying, and I actually filmed myself crying, but I don't know if you can see the tear because the quality sucks, but there's definitely a tear coming out of my eye. And I was just like, I can't believe, like, this is the last book, and I have to leave these characters, so that's why I cried. Next up is a book that made you happy. The book that made me the most happy is probably Credence by Penelope Douglas. Not even because of the content, even though the content also made me really happy, but I love Penelope Douglas. I love her. I love all her books. So just knowing that she was releasing a book made me so happy. And when I finally got it, I was like it just felt so nice to be able to start a Penelope Douglas book because I've been waiting so long for a new release of hers, and I finally got it, and I was just so ecstatic. And the content was also really good. It's about this girl named Tyrion. Her parents die, so she's forced to live with her uncle, who she's not actually related to, in the mountains with his 2 sons, and they're in the cabin, and it's snowing. The thing is, you don't know who she's gonna end up with, and that kept me on my toes the whole time, and everything about this book and the author just made me really happy. Next up is favorite book to movie adaptation. I feel like I didn't really consume any book to movie adaptations this year, except for 13 Reasons Why Season 4, which isn't even a book because only the first season is a book, but I feel like this is the only thing that would qualify. I know that a lot of people say that 13 Reasons Why is very triggering and harmful and that you shouldn't watch it, and I can definitely see where they're coming from. For my senior project, I actually wrote about how 13 Reasons Why has shown to increase suicide rates. So I definitely see where they're coming from, but I feel like if you feel like you're ready to watch that kind of show with a lot of sensitive topics, then it's not harmful to you. Like, it's not harmful for me at all. In fact, I feel like this show helped me. So I feel like it can be really different depending on the person. If you feel more sensitive to these topics, maybe stay away. But if you're not, like, this show actually helped me. So I feel like it's really unfair to say it's harmful to everyone and just to not watch it. But I really love this series, and I love how it shows 2 sides to every person. Well, everyone has many sides. If there's a good person, they also show how this good person can be bad, and if there's a bad person, they also show how this bad person can be good, which I feel like is very realistic because in a lot of movies, villains are only shown their bad side, and good people are only shown their good side. But 13 Reasons Why makes people more 3-dimensional, and that's not excusing the actions of villains, because I know that they do horrible things and they suck. But I just like how this show kind of shows, they make their characters very realistic, I would say. Next up is your favorite review that you made, and I only made 1 review, and that was a rant review for The Hunter. Maybe I should start doing more reviews. I really liked the review I wrote for The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes that I never filmed, but I might film if I feel like it. But for now, just my rant review for The Hunter. Next up is the most beautiful book you bought this year, and this is actually really surprising because I only bought 1 physical book this year, which is so weird because last year I bought books all the time, but my bookshelf has like no space now, so I just don't buy physical books anymore unless I really have to. So that would be Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I have the Cater here from Thorn Glass. I don't know why. This is the most beautiful book I bought this year because it's the only book I bought this year, but I also think it's really pretty, especially the original cover. This was supposed to be the original cover. I really love it. I love the red, and it's so detailed. Every little thing inside, absolutely beautiful. I love it. The last question is, what books would you like to finish by the end of the year? For sure, Nightfall, like I said, is coming out next month. How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories, Deck of Omens. Oh, and then I want to finish the third book in the Foxhole Court series because I have like 50 pages left. And if the second book to From Blood and Ash comes out this year, then that will be in there too. So that is it for my mid-year book freak out tag. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your favorite book or your favorite. And I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye!